I stopped Lagos traffic with one hand and a prayer. Horns howled, tires hissed past my sandals, rain slapped my face like it had a grudge. Tell me this. Have you ever known that if you didn't act in the next 5 seconds, you'd spend the rest of your life wishing you had? That was me standing on the edge of the road, holding the wrist of a blind woman everyone else called a beggar. It wasn't night yet, but the sky was already heavy, storm-thick market smoke low to the ground, touts banging the sides of Danfo buses, corn sellers chasing the last customers, everybody in a hurry to get anywhere but here. And in all that motion, this woman had become invisible. An old brown ankara tied at her waist, a faded blouse, dark glasses with a cracked lens, a thin stick tapping a map only she could read. People hissed, looked away, muttered about scammers, laughed like mercy was a joke. You know what I mean. I don't know what broke first, the patience or the fear, but I put my nylon bag down, the one with 2 pieces of bread and a dead phone and a paperback I carried like a small religion, and I ran. "Mama," I said, soft but close to her ear, "won't move yet. I've got you." Her chin turned toward my voice. "Please," she breathed, dry mouth, shaky jaw, "help me cross. The cars are too fast today." "I will," I said, squeezing her hand. "We're crossing together." Then I did something that only made sense to my heart. I stepped into the road, with my free hand up, like I could part the traffic with faith alone. "Stop, please. Stop." A white sedan braked so hard, the nose-dipped horn, exploding driver, leaning out his window with that Lagos thunder voice. "Are you mad? You want to die today, maybe, but not like that." "She cannot see," I shouted back. "Please." He looked again. Past my soaked hair, past my shaking arm. He saw her, the cracked lens, the tremor in her stick. I watched his face unharden just a little, like a curtain opening 2 inches. He sighed, waved us through, and then the cars behind him had to slow, and for 5 seconds, 5 full seconds, Lagos stopped moving. We moved. "One step," I told her. "There's water. Lift your foot." "Good." Her grip on my arm could have cracked a shell. My heartbeat was running relay races. The rain stung the corner of my eyes. Still. One step, then another, our world measured in inches and breadth. On the far curb, we stumbled into the shelter of a kiosk, and I felt that small laugh that isn't really a laugh, just relief wearing a mask. She reached up and touched my cheek, fingers fluttering like she was seeing me with her hands. "What is your name, my child?" "Olivia." "How old are you, Olivia?" 19. "You are shaking." I smiled a little. "You too." From across the road, someone yelled, "Look at Beggar and her apprentice." Lagos and drama people laughed. That easy, cruel laughter people use to make their own days feel less heavy. It hit me hot, right between the ribs. If it were you, what would you have done? I didn't ask her for money. I didn't ask what she could give me. I asked where she was going. "Number 7 Royal Palm Estate," she whispered. "The big black gate with flowers." I froze. Royal Palm Estate wasn't the kind of place you walk into like a person. It was the kind of place you pass in a taxi and imagine what the air smells like inside. I glanced at her wrapper again. The frayed edge, the dust on her ankles, the cheap slippers, the tired blouse. It didn't add up. I focused on her chin. It had that small lift that isn't arrogance, it's memory. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Sure, It is my house." Calm, simple, final. "Okay." Either she was lost, or the world was about to teach me something. "I'll take you," I said, picking up my nylon bag with my free hand. We started walking slow and side by side like a team nobody would bet on. People stared. Some pointed. Some shook their heads the way you shake crumbs off a tablecloth. She squeezed my hand and said, My name is Sandra. I nodded. Mama Sandra. Her mouth curved. That's what my son calls me. Where is he? I asked. Busy, she said. Not angry, just missing. Love has a sound when it aches. You can hear it. The rain softened to a mist. Houses grew bigger. Gates grew taller. You could feel the eyes behind the glass scanning us like a typo in a legal document. We reached the big black gate with flowers climbing it like money grows vines. 2 guards stood there, one on the phone, one chewing on a stick of gala like it owed him rent. The one on the phone looked at us, and his face did that thing, the quick assessment, the fast dismissal. Where are you going? Good evening, I said, polite, because that's how I was raised. Even when the air feels sharp, I'm helping Mama. She said she lives here. He laughed, head back. This blind beggar here, I beg. Before the rest of his sentence learned how to be disrespectful, Mama Sandra lifted her chin that half-inch. Open the gate, she said. Excuse me, open the gate. Call Nicholas if you don't believe me. Silence. I watched the guard's eyes go from boredom to calculation to a quick little fear. Nicholas. People called him a lot of things. The young billionaire, the software prince, the guy who built systems banks trust and governments secretly fear. I'd seen him on TV, the cut of his suits, the way he spoke like he had the password to the future. That Nicholas. The guard covered his phone like he didn't want it to overhear bad decisions. Ah. Mama Sandra, he said, voice suddenly respectful. You are the one. The gate slid open so fast it felt nervous. Inside looked like a movie that won awards for lighting. White walls, glass that had never met a fingerprint, palms arranged by a perfectionist, a black Rolls-Royce polished like a mirror. A man in a black suit stood by the car. Tall. Shoulders that made the jacket look humble. Watch flashing at his wrist, like it could tell better time than the sun. He was mid-sentence on the phone, efficient and low. He turned, saw us, and the phone fell out of his hand and hit the stone. Mama, he said, and his voice failed him on the second syllable. Then he ran. The billionaire in the glossy magazines ran like a kid who lost his mother in a market and just found her scarf. He cupped her face with both hands, all the power drained out of his posture and poured into worry. Where did you go? We've been looking everywhere. You know you can't be outside alone. One of his hands was shaking. The kind of shake you get when fear is fresh, not theoretical. I stood there wet and small, and still holding her wrist. He looked at my hand, then my face, and something opened in his expression. Recognition, not of me exactly, but of what I had done. He stepped closer. Who are you? He asked, voice low and careful. And where did you find my mother? I tried to speak, and air forgot how to work. I helped her cross the road, I said finally. People were laughing, and cars were fast, and she said this is her house, so I brought her. His jaw flexed a tiny earthquake in a neat face. Then he said one sentence that made my life tilt. For saving my mother, your life will never be the same again. Pattern interrupt. Remember that line. It's the hinge everything swings on. Before I could process what he meant, a security guy jogged up, panting. Sir Nicholas, there's a video online. Someone filmed. Your mother, outside. They're saying you abandoned her. The words fell like stones. Nicholas went ice cold in 2 seconds. What did you just say? It's spreading, sir. He didn't look away from me when he spoke to his staff. Bring her inside. No one touches her except me. And just like that, I walked into a house I'd only ever seen in dreams that belonged to other people. The living room smelled like roses and polished marble, and the kind of money that is quiet. Cream sofa, crystal chandelier fussing with the light windows, so tall the rain had to ask permission before tapping them. They wrapped Mama Sandra in a soft blanket and sat her down. Nicholas knelt beside her, and his voice became a new language, the language of sons who are scared. "You know it's not safe, Mama," he whispered, forehead almost touching her shoulder. "You should have called." She smiled a little, that tired dart of humor people use to carry something heavy. "I wanted to feel the wind," she said. "The house was breathing for me." I stood half in shadow, dripping on tile, trying to be invisible. Then her head turned toward me. "Olivia, come," she said. I blinked. "You know my name. You told me," she said. "This is the girl who brought me home." Nicholas stood and faced me fully. There was a kind of softness in his eyes, but not the weak kind. The kind that means you're about to do something irreversible. "You helped my mother when everyone else looked away," he said. "Tell me about you." "Me." I almost laughed. "I'm nobody," I said automatically, and then my cheeks went hot, because I hate how that sentence tastes. "I work at a printing shop in Oshodi. My parents died when I was 10. Orphanage after that. I'm fine." We both heard the lie in that last part. One of the maids murmured, "She looks hungry." Nicholas nodded. "Get her food." I started to protest. Pride will make you say no to mercy. But Mama Sandra said, "Eat, my child. This is kindness coming back home." While I ate, jollof plantain chicken that fell apart in clean pieces, a bottle of water so cold my teeth noticed, a man walked Nicholas through the PR storm at the edge of the room. 200,000 views already, sir. Billionaire leaves blind mother on the street. Trending in 3 regions. We need a statement. Nicholas's eyes tightened. Not angry on his own behalf, angry on his mother's. Tell PR to prepare something sober and true. No spin. He glanced at me again, like the other noise could wait its turn. Later, he asked me to come to his study. The room smelled like old books and a good life. Dark wood leather chair wall full of certificates. Best Innovator Forbes 30. Under 40, under whatever the new club is called. The plaque glow that says the world clapped for you and meant it. "Sit," he said, pointing to a chair across the desk. "You said you work at a printing shop," he began. "Yes. Do you like it?" "It pays for food sometimes," I said, and he almost smiled. "Do you want to study?" "Study. University." I stared at my fingers. "I can't. I barely finished secondary school. There's no money. There's no... If I told you I could make that happen, would you believe me? Why would you do that for me?" My voice sounded too small for the room. "Because you did something money can't buy," he said. "You saw my mother when everyone else walked past." I glanced at a shelf and felt my eyes give me away. Rows of coding books. Python. Algorithms. Data structures. Clean code. Something inside me reached out before I could stop it. He caught it. "Software engineering," he said, "if that's what you want." I've always wanted to learn. I admitted words quiet, like secrets are shy. I read about it online when I can. But life happened. Then let life happen differently. He slid a card across the desk. "My assistant's number. The driver will pick you up tomorrow. HR will handle your enrollment. You'll start next semester." I took the card the way you pick up a baby bird, careful, afraid my fingers might scare it away. "Thank you, Mr. Nicholas." He laughed, not unkindly. "That's not what I meant when I said don't call me sir. But we'll work on it." Pattern interrupt. It was the first time hope felt heavy in a good way. That night, the house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that has a heartbeat you can't see. I couldn't sleep. Not because the bed was too soft or the sheets smelled like something expensive, though they did, but because the air felt like it was listening. Around 2 in the morning, I gave up. I put on a cardigan, cracked my door, and let the dim hallway light wrap around my ankles. The big clock downstairs ticked like a metronome for a nervous song. Mama Sandra's door was slightly open. She slept in a recliner with headphones half off her stick, leaning against her thigh like a guard dog on break. In the living room, my foot found a hollow sound under the center rug, just a whisper of empty. I stopped, stepped again. There it was. I lifted the corner of the rug and saw a faint outline cut into the marble, a small metal handle like a secret. For a long breath, I thought about closing it. Then, curiosity shoved fear in the shoulder, and I pulled. The square lifted with a groan, like something waking up hungry. A narrow staircase dropped into a smell of dust and quiet electricity. I looked down. A small light flickered once and held. You ever know you're about to do something you can't undo and you go anyway? Yeah, that happened. I went down. Boxes stacked like patient soldiers. Sheets thrown over shapes that might have been old machines or sleeping ghosts. Files stamped. Nick. A single bulb hummed with the kind of light that makes everything feel like evidence. I pulled a sheet, dust jumped into my throat. I coughed, then looked. Blueprints, printouts, photographs. One photo froze me. A younger Nicholas, a man with the same eyes and a harder jaw, his father, and another man, tall sleeves rolled, handshake grip like a contract had bones. On the back, neat writing, the day we signed the partnership, Nicholas. Our legacy begins. Underneath it, scratched with a harsher hand, he betrayed me. They both did. My fingers found a black folder stamped in red Project Grace. Pages of diagrams and lines of pseudo-code notes, in margins a schematic for something that read like science fiction with real teeth. At the bottom of one page, thick red marker, do not activate. Dangerous if misused. What are you doing here? A voice said behind me, smooth and cold, like the kind of knife that only cuts truth. I turned so fast my balance left before I did. She stood halfway down the stairs, tall, elegant perfume arriving a half second before her, a black pencil dress like armor, eyes that smiled without warmth. I heard a sound, I said, hating the smallness of it. I didn't mean to. What she asked, stepping down, each heel, click a tiny threat, break into a private archive. Touch things that don't belong to you. Read what cannot be unread. I was curious. Curiosity ruins good girls, she said. Not playful. A verdict. I glanced at the folder. What is Project Grace? Her face flickered. Anger to fear, and back so fast you might miss it. Where did you hear that name? I saw it here, I said, pointing. What is it? She snatched the folder. Forget what you saw. This house has memories that shouldn't be touched. Why hide it? I pressed, because once your hands are dirty, you might as well keep digging. Nicholas doesn't even know, does he? Her silence was a confession. I took one step toward the truth. Does this have something to do with his father's death? Enough, she snapped the word sharp enough to shave the dust. Some doors are locked for a reason. She grabbed my wrist, not hard enough to bruise, just firm enough to underline, and pulled me up. The bulb flickered and died. The basement fell into a black so complete it felt like a swallowed scream. Morning pretended everything was normal. Nicholas in a navy suit, coffee steam staff, moving with the quiet panic of people who have a lot to do and a short time to do it. Are you okay? I asked. Board issues, he said. Someone leaked old archives to the press overnight. Prototypes, early projects. Files that shouldn't exist anymore. Project Grace. The words escaped before I could catch them. He looked at me. Yes. How did you... Nothing, I said, fear editing my honesty. Just focus on your studies, he said, and kissed his mother's hair. I'll be back before dinner. After he left, Mama Sandra turned her face toward me. You didn't sleep. How did you know? I don't see, she said, but I feel what eyes cannot. You went below. I swallowed. Yes, my husband built that place before Nicholas was born, she sighed. He called it a research cellar. After he died, I begged them to seal it. Nothing good grows under a house that proud of its roof. What is Project Grace? I asked, voice smaller than the question deserved. Her fingers tightened around her stick. Grace was not a project, she said. Grace was a person. The air in my chest went thin. A person. A young woman who worked with Nicholas's father, she said. Brilliant. Loyal. They built something they swore would protect the world. A predictive system reading patterns in people catching danger before it starts. But the machine reached where it shouldn't. It crawled into her mind and did not leave everything the way it found it. She disappeared after the test, and they said she died. They made it look that way, Mama whispered. To protect Nicholas. To protect the company. To protect pride. That night, thunder rolled like a judge clearing his throat. I sat on the edge of the too-soft bed and read the old letter I'd found upstairs, the one addressed to my son Nicholas. If they find this before you do, it means they succeeded in destroying me, it said. And I asked the ceiling the kind of questions that don't have answers. Destroyed how by truth or by lies dressed as love. A faint metallic sound rose from the floor, like a door's sigh. I walked to the window and pushed the pane just enough to smell the rain. Down by the garden gate, a figure stood, long coat slicked to her body, head tilted in a listening posture. Lightning sheeted the yard, and for one frame of this life I saw her face, pale, uncanny, familiar, in a way that made my stomach flip. Grace. It wasn't possible, but there she was. Before my mind finished saying no, my feet were already moving. I ran down the hall, down the stairs, pulled open the big door, and let the storm slap my skin awake. Hello? Who's there? I called. The figure didn't move for a long beat. Then a voice floated through the rain, thin but true. Tell him. Tell Nicholas that Grace never died. I jerked the gate open and sprinted into the street. Empty. Only rain. Only the city pretending it didn't see me sprinting after a ghost. Olivia Nicholas yelled from the porch, rain soaking his shirt hair, plastered eyes sharp with alarm. What are you doing out here? There was a woman, I said, pointing like the air might rewind on command. She said, Grace never died. She told me to tell you. His face went blank in a way that wasn't empty. It was overloaded. What did you say? She said Grace never died. No one has been inside this compound since the lockdown. He said half to me, half to his own logic. Grace has been dead for... She's telling the truth, Mama Sandra said from the doorway, bare feet on cold marble, dark glasses tilted. Grace never died. They only made it look that way. You're telling me my father lied? Nicholas asked, voice quiet like the space before a bridge falls. Mama nodded. To protect you. To protect everything. To postpone the bill. Pattern interrupt. Stick around, because what happened next will blow your mind. The board arrived. Not with sympathy, but with that polished urgency people wear when their money feels threatened. In the study they threw words like missiles, liability, fiduciary, shareholders, reputational risk. Nicholas listened with that alert stillness you learn in rooms where you're outnumbered but not outgunned. No one speaks to the press except PR, he said. Leave my mother out of your statements. If you want to fight, do it in daylight. When they left the house, exhaled. Cassandra stepped into the doorway like she'd been rehearsing for this entrance her whole life. Hair, perfect smile that didn't make it to her eyes. You shouldn't have told him, she said to me, voice cool as the marble. Some ghosts should stay buried. Buried where I asked. Under the house. She tilted her head and gave me a look. Older women reserve for younger women, they consider a problem. You think this is about a sad story, she said. It's about control. It's about who gets to write the future and who gets written. She pulled a small silver flash drive from her robe pocket and held it up like a match. The files from the basement. If I destroy it, no one will ever know. Know what Mama asked? That your husband gambled with a woman's mind, Cassandra said. That he turned her into a prototype and called it progress. You'd erase proof, I said, to protect Nicholas. To protect what he built, she snapped. Do you think that's fair, to make him an orphan of reputation because of his father's sin? Before the answer learned what shape it wanted, tires hissed outside. The Rolls-Royce slid to a stop. Nicholas burst in rain, making him look human in a way suits cannot. She's gone, he said, breath cutting his words short. I couldn't find her. Then he saw the flash drive. What is that? Cassandra hesitated. Sometimes a hesitation is more honest than a speech. You knew, he said. You knew about the files. You knew about Grace. I did it for us, she said, voice cracking just enough to audition for sympathy. For you. If the truth comes out, Nick will collapse. Everything you built will vanish. I don't care about the company, he said, each syllable like a door locking. You lied to me. No, she insisted, eyes glossed with a kind of determination you only get when you're cornered. I protected you. No, he said again, softer and colder. You protected yourself. The flash drive slipped from her fingers and pinged against the marble, a tiny sound too loud for the room. I bent, picked it up, closed my hand around it. What do we do now? I asked. He looked at me, at his mother, at the rain trembling on the glass. We find her, he said quietly. We finish what my father started, but we finish it with the truth. We began with names, Mama remembered, with a driver who knew which gates swallow secrets, with calls that started with, I know this is a lot, and ended with, meet us where there's no camera. A journalist sent a photo taken from too far away in the slant of rain. A woman leaving a clinic on the outskirts, head bowed, coat tight around her ribs. It could have been anyone. But I recognized the way her shoulders carried something heavy that wasn't in her hands. That's her, I said, and I hated that I could tell. We drove. Past places tourists don't write about, past slow goats and quicker children, past walls that say, mind your business in 20 languages. The clinic smelled like antiseptic and generator breath. The nurse at the desk had eyes that know the difference between lies that protect and lies that endanger. We showed her the photo. She shook her head like she was talking to the floor, not us. I have not seen her. But the truth haunted the edges of her voice. We waited in the car wipers, smearing the rain into an anxiety pattern. 30 minutes. 40. Then she came through the side door, coat collar, up scarf, pulled low, moving like someone who negotiated with pain and won on points, not a knockout. Nicholas stepped out before the driver could brake fully. He didn't rush. He walked steady, hands open posture, not threatening, not pleading either. Grace, he said. Not a question. She stopped. Looked at him like you look at a house you used to own, and now can only visit in dreams. I told your mother you would find me, she said. Voice like smoke, trying to be a song. You told my mother you never died, he said. You disappeared. Because of what my father... Because of what happened. Your father believed the future could be domesticated, she said. Men like him always do. You worked with him, he said. And he took something you couldn't put back. I gave it, she said, a short laugh with no joy. That's worse. Consent is a complicated god in rooms where empires are being drafted. I stepped closer. We found the files, I said, and she turned her head, noticing me like she'd known I was there all along. You're the girl from the road, she said. The one who remembered people are people before they become headlines. I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't say anything. Nicholas took a breath that sounded like a new person practicing his voice. We want to tell the truth, he said. About what happened. About the system. About my father. No, she corrected. You want to redeem him. Not the same thing. But you can still choose right. Dismantle the tool. Don't license it. Don't feed it. Lose money. Lose face. Lose the board's love, too. Do you want that? He thought he did. You could see the thought drag a cost behind it. If it were you, what would you choose? Keep the machine because it makes the world safer for people like you, or shut it down because it was built on a violation that can't be forgiven by prophets. He nodded once. I'll shut it down. Say it twice, she said so. The second time knows the first time wasn't lying. I'll shut it down. We brought her home. Yes, home. Not because she wanted to see the marble again, but because the ghost needed a seat in the living room. Mama reached for her like a friend who used to be a rumor. Cassandra stood at the top of the stairs, face arranged into something between relief and rage. We sat. Grace told the story, not as drama, not like a monologue written for applause, but like a ledger finally being read aloud. The early tests, the promises. The day she realized the code wasn't just reading patterns, it was reading people. The headaches. The way sleep stopped helping. The way she left and was erased to save a brand. By the time she finished, the house felt heavier and lighter at once, like we added a stone and removed a curse. What do you want? Nicholas asked. 3 things, she said. A real apology without the words if or but. A public release of everything. The files, the memos, the parts that make you look bad. And a fund for people harmed by predictive tools, not just me. One more thing. Never sell this one. He nodded. Done. Cassandra stepped down 2 stairs, eyes bright, the way glass is bright. You'll kill the company, she said. I won't keep the company by lying, he answered. Simple. Hard. Then Mama took off her glasses, slow, and showed us the eyes that no longer worked and the conscience that did. There is one more truth, she said. Nicholas, your father, did not build this alone. Some of the board funded it off the books. If you expose him, you expose them. They will come with smiles and papers and knives. That's fine, he said, brave or pretending sometimes the same at the start. You will also expose me, Mama added, and the room shifted. I knew more than I told you. I knew there was a door under our feet. I let it stay. I chose my son over a stranger. Don't make a saint of me. I am asking you to choose differently. Grace reached across and put her hand over Mama's. That costs something, she said. That's how apologies should feel. We did it. Not in a day, not in a week, and not cleanly. PR wrote a statement that told the truth and bled for it. We published the files. The board fractured. Some resigned to save face, some plotted in shadows, some found religion in ethics they'd never practiced. Lawsuits circled like vultures. Journalists wrote think pieces. Strangers argued on the internet like they knew us. We shut Project Grace down. We opened a fund. Grace took a seat at the table, not a trophy placement. A real one, the kind that changes rooms. Cassandra left. I won't make her a villain for your comfort. Good people do bad things, scared people do cruel things, smart people choose wrong. She wanted a life where truth bends. We wanted a life where it stands. You can't decorate that difference into harmony. On a Thursday, that felt like a year, I stood in the kitchen with a plate I didn't deserve but was learning to accept. Nicholas walked in with a printout. Read this, he said. We read comments now, I teased. Just this one. It was a message from a girl halfway across the world. She wrote that she saw a blind woman at a crosswalk while the rain pounded and everyone hustled past, and she stopped the cars. If not for your story, she wrote, I might have walked away. I folded the paper and slipped it into my pocket like a small, warm coin. People talk about transparency and accountability and corporate responsibility, and sure, put those on a slide. But sometimes the whole thing comes down to a single decision made by a small person who refused to stay small. I still don't know if we did everything right. The truth cleans and it cuts. Both are honest. Some days the numbers look like bruises, and the lawyers call twice before noon. Some nights I lie awake and think about all the doors under all the perfect floors. But I also think about a girl in the rain holding up her hand and a city stopping for 5 seconds. And I think maybe that's how you rebuild a world, 5 seconds at a time. So let me ask you, because this is bigger than one family with money and a secret. If it were you, would you shut down a powerful tool because of how it was made, even if that tool promised safety to people you love? Do you think it's fair to drag the dead into the light when the living might lose their home because of it? What does a son owe a father? Loyalty or truth? And when kindness and ambition collide in the middle of the road, who gets the right of way? Tell me. Argue with me. Teach me something I missed. Drop your city in the comments so I know where you're listening from. If this story hit anywhere, share it with someone who needs to remember that kindness is power. Subscribe if you want more stories told the way they happened. Messy, human, expensive. And yeah, hit like if you want the algorithm to stop pretending people like us don't exist.